one of the biggest things that helped my deconstruction was being in a physically abusive relationship. Because after that relationship, I went to real therapy, not a pastor, not a Christian counselor. I went to real therapy, and I learned terms like gaslighting, narcissistic abuse, coercion, financial abuse, Darvo. And all of a sudden, not only was I able to identify those in the relationship I had just gotten out of, but I realized that those things felt so familiar because I had heard them before. Things like, what do you mean? The Bible doesn't say that. You must have read it wrong. What? The pastor didn't say that. You heard him wrong. I'm not trying to control you or your body. I value you so much, and I just want what's best for you. I don't want men looking at you. This is God's best for you. Or Christians are being persecuted when really it was Christians trying to take rights from other people or force their religion into schools or on other people. So I realized that the tactics were exactly the same, and it really broke down a lot of what I'd gone through growing up because I had words for it now. This is why the churches I grew up in were very opposed to women going to secular therapists that they would claim would pull them from God, because those therapists would actually help them. Those therapists would actually teach them the language of abuse and help them understand that the abuse maybe wasn't just coming from their husband, it was also coming from the body of believers they were attached to. Because a Christian pastor, if a woman comes to him and her husband's beating her, they would typically say, you just need to submit more, you shouldn't leave, you need to be long-suffering, this is a commitment. Or if he cheated on her, it would be, you just need to meet his needs better, you need to spice things up in the bedroom. Meanwhile, these women are intentionally left exhausted. It's as many kids as you can have. If you do work outside the home, which is frowned upon, you still have to take care of everything in the house. These women are so beaten down. You need to volunteer at the church. There's no space for them, and no one gives them the language to understand what's happening to them is wrong. And growing up in the church, I knew that the way women were treated was wrong. I knew the double standards were wrong. I didn't have the language for it. So once I had actual therapy, I was able to identify those things and say, oh my God, it's the same technique. You can think of a relationship that's abusive as a cult of one, but cult tactics, whether it's a cult of one person or a large body, are exactly the same. And Strong-Willed Child put it so well that in those churches that encourage these women to stay in abusive, unfaithful relationships, which they never encouraged the men to do, right? The woman would get removed from the church if she cheated. But the Strong-Willed Child said when it ends, because the relationships typically do end eventually, the church mourns for the marriage, not for the woman, which is so true, because the woman just fills a role that they need her to fill. They don't actually care about her safety as a person, which is why these abusive tactics are used and why the church doesn't want women to know what they are.